Step into the world of the tarot, and you soon encounter the ninth trump of the major arcana, the Hermit. Cloaked in gray, holding aloft a lantern lit by a six-pointed star, this figure stands on a snow-capped summit. At first glance, it looks like a solitary traveler pausing on a cold, windswept peak. But esoteric currents swirl here, carrying us far beyond any simple reading of an old man in winter. The cloaked figure, more than meets the eye. In the widely recognized Rider Waite Smith tarot depiction, the Hermit's gray robes denote neutrality, a liminal state bridging ignorance, black, and purity, white. Psychologically, gray can suggest an egoless space. No flamboyant colors announce the personality. This is an individual who has stepped outside the usual definitions of status, wanting no worldly finery to speak for him. His cloak is a kind of veil of the inner world, an outward expression of invisible metamorphosis. By wrapping himself in this nondescript garment, he disappears from mundane view, becoming a ghostly presence in the everyday world. Within his cloak, the old identity dissolves, making room for the new. The lantern and the six-pointed star. Cradled in the Hermit's right hand is a lantern. Inside glows a six-pointed star, often interpreted as the Seal of Solomon, or the Star of David, or the hexagram in many occult traditions. This star captures the union of opposites, the upward triangle of spirit and the downward triangle of matter. It epitomizes, as above, so below, that abiding hermetic principle. On a spiritual level, the star's glow reminds us that in the darkest night of the psyche, a hidden luminescence awaits. The lantern itself speaks to illumination from within. For the Hermit, knowledge is not gleaned from external dogmas, but discovered in solitude and introspection. Mystical threads in the Hermetic Kabbalah link this card to the Hebrew letter Yod, representing a divine spark or hand. The Hermit's path is said to run from Chesed, mercy, to Tifereth, beauty, on the tree of life, a journey from benevolence to the radiant core of the self. Holding the lantern in his right or active hand indicates a conscious choice to bring this inner light forward, not hoard it in the secret recesses of the mind. Carl Jung famously wrote, "The unconscious is not just evil by nature, it is also the source of the highest good. Not only dark, but also light, not only bestial, semi-human and demonic, but superhuman, spiritual, and, in the classical sense of the word, divine." This quote reverberates with the Hermit's lantern symbolism, the divine star shining from within the gloom of the unconscious. The staff in the left hand. Supporting his silent trek is a staff often held in the Hermit's left or receptive hand. Symbolically, a staff can denote authority, a vestige of the biblical rod guiding the flock, or the magician's wand channeling energies. Esoterically, it's a kind of pillar of inner power, an axis that aligns the Hermit's body with the cosmic energies at large. Some see the staff as a representation of the spinal column, reminiscent of Kundalini in Eastern traditions, or the middle pillar in Kabbalah. Held in the left hand, it expresses a balanced synergy. The Hermit's approach is not an aggressive stance, but a receptive communion with higher forces. If the lantern is the outward revelation of truth, the staff is the inward grounding that ensures the Hermit remains steady on his spiritual path. Mountaintop and Snow. Peering closer, we notice the snowy peak, a peak of silent knowing. Mountains appear throughout mythology as the axis mundi. Mount Sinai in the Hebrew tradition, Mount Olympus in Greece, Mount Meru in Hindu cosmology. They serve as natural altars bridging heaven and earth. The Hermit is perched here, representing a vantage point above the noise and illusions below. If the forest or cave is a place of womb-like introspection, the mountaintop is the quiet plain of revelation, where one can see the bigger picture. The snow evokes purity and the sense of a spiritual frontier too cold for trivialities. This desert of the soul is as merciless as it is transformational, like the austere training grounds of ancient mystics. Numerology of the Hermit. The Hermit's number is 9, a digit that signals completion of a cycle. It stands on the cusp of 10, a new beginning. 9 months of human gestation mirror the card's significance. The Hermit fosters the soul's gestation in solitude, preparing it for the next birth. In the tarot, 9 is often linked to initiation, to the final test before stepping into a new realm of consciousness. Solitude and the descent within. Behind the physical imagery lies a deeper invitation. The Hermit's posture is stooped, as though gazing into the hidden corners of his inner world. He is not an evangelist waving his lantern at you. Instead, he paces forward as if inviting you to follow at your own risk. Solitude is not a punishment, but an initiation, and the Hermit's humility is the price of admission to these hidden realms. He must bow his ego to the greater mystery. In that sense, the Hermit's downward gaze suggests the soul's willingness to glimpse its own darkness, and therein find the glowing star. Virgo and Mercury. Astrological keys. Astrologically, the Hermit is tied to Virgo, an earth sign ruled by Mercury. Virgo's core qualities, analysis, refinement, discernment, are here exalted in the service of spiritual and sacred purification of the self. Embodying Virgo's highest vibration, the Hermit becomes the sacred analyst who distills spiritual truth, methodically discerning illusion from genuine illumination. The Hermit is that part of us meticulously sorting genuine illumination from illusions. Alchemical undertones. At the same time, we sense Saturnine echoes, melancholy, isolation, the heavy seriousness of solitary endeavor, intertwining with Mercury's nimble, mind-centered revelations. The Hermit stands on that boundary, bridging introspective dryness and the bright spark of insight. In alchemy, the Hermit's path can correspond to the Nigredo stage, where the ego dissolves into primal blackness before re-emerging as spiritual gold. Saturn, often associated with lead, indicates the slow, sometimes painful purification. The six-pointed star in the lantern foreshadows the eventual union of opposites. The Hermit, in effect, wields the lamp that kindles hope within darkness, reminding us that even the bleakest nights can serve as wombs of transformation. The paradox of light and darkness. Crucial to the Hermit's meaning is the paradox. He is alone in darkness, yet he holds a guiding light. This duality matches the alchemical motto, lux in tenebris, light in darkness. And as he is simultaneously overshadowed and illuminated, so is the human psyche, partly known, partly unknown, always dancing between denial and epiphany. Solitude becomes the crucible where we strip away illusions, discovering truths about ourselves we never suspected. Solitude as initiation. The Hermit's greatest secret might be that isolation is not an end, but a means, a rite of passage. True solitude evokes deeper presence to the sacred or the self. The images of monastics, yogis, druids, or shamans retreating from the collective swirl ring with the same chord. One must die to the world's superficial chatter to awaken the deeper faculties within. This card, then, is an invitation to a vow of authenticity that can only be forged in silence. The Hermit's lantern as a shared light. Once we find the Hermit's light, do we keep it locked away? He gently shows that genuine inner illumination begs to be brought back to the world. Even though he stands alone, the path behind him remains lit for others who follow. This is not the dominion of dogma or evangelism, but the gentle empowerment to find your own guiding star. By turning within, we often discover a universal gold that can help heal the outer realm. That is the subtle generosity of the Hermit's presence. He never proclaims, "Follow me," yet his very posture invites it. Indeed, this ninth trump is not an idle representation of a grandfatherly recluse. It is a vivid tapestry of mystical hints. A quiet man on a frozen peak, But if you look closer, you see the entire journey from despair to insight captured in symbolic form. To walk with the Hermit is to learn that meaning does not come from external authorities. It emerges from the brave confrontation with one's own darkness, guided by an inner spark we all carry but rarely notice. That is the gift of the Hermit card, unveiling a path of reflection that ultimately leads us into a more profound engagement with life and a willingness to share that glimmer of truth with those who wander after us. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and consider joining my YouTube channel memberships to support my work and gain exclusive perks. The link is in the description below. And finally, click on this video appearing on your screen to continue your awakening journey.